guys, it's Damaged Rides here. Today we're going to be talking about my girlfriend's 2016 Jeep Wrangler. We actually ended up getting this with most of the aftermarket parts on it, like the front metal bumper, but the metal fenders are, well, look, I'm messing it all up, that's okay. So on a lot of the Jeeps, they actually have like thinner metal fenders, which I've seen, and I didn't really care too much for them. But this one actually has the color coordinated metal fenders to paint match and whatnot, and they come out pretty far out, which I think is a pretty good look. But surprisingly enough, this thing costs about as much as a stock Jeep. I'm not really sure why. All issues that we're slowly working on with the calipers and things of that nature. But for the most part, it's a Jeep. It's built to last. You can do basically anything to it. Before we get to that, we'll talk about the big Mickey Thompson wheels. I can only imagine how much extra weight all of this adds. With metal rims. I mean, that is thick. Metal fenders. She thick. Metal fenders. Metal bumper. God, we are gonna have to do a lot of editing. Light bar. We actually ended up adding this light bar, and we have to work on it because, again, a lot of the stuff I'm doing in the backyard, or right now we have a spacer that is actually a socket. That is a socket up there, but it works. We ended up running the cord to it from here down, and then we have to come back and clean it up a little bit. But we ran the cord, and that's how we ended up running it. Jack's pretty cool. Found out you can knock yourself out with them. They build up a lot of tension. Didn't know that. We added the headlights, what's nice about the headlights, turn signals, and the fog lights is, again, a lot of the stuff on Jeep is pretty much plug and play. So it was very hard to mess these up because all we did was we undid the lights, took out the grill, undid the lights, and then just plugged these ones in. It was like $30, and now we, at night everybody flashes their high beams at us. So there's that. Don't know what the trail rated means. But right now we just kind of have this switch for the light bar hanging out up here. We taped it up and whatnot, but it fell off because it was meant to be a temporary fix, and then I just never got back to it. Inside of here, we have, this big 10-inch screen. Now, I actually put this screen in, got it off of Amazon and everything, and got this off of Amazon. And this one was kind of expensive, but that's because you can connect it to internet and everything. It's got wireless Apple CarPlay, but again, this thing was also, for the most part, plug and play. I just had to watch a couple YouTube tutorials on how to take the car apart, and I mean, everything comes out pretty easily. You can just take this thing apart at like a moment's notice, most of it with your hands. So that was like maybe 30 minutes. We started getting a bunch of ducks because all hail the duck god. I think this was the hardest thing to take out because, my God, you gotta like pry, and then I chipped up a little bit there, and that was annoying. But this thing definitely needs a bit more work because there's the cord for the backup camera, which I also put in. The backup camera was, surprisingly enough, the hardest thing to put onto the Jeep, because unlike the screen, the backup camera, I actually had to cut into a couple things. I couldn't figure out, I don't know if you guys bump into this issue, if any of you guys have done this, but we ended up getting, this is going to just be a temporary backup camera because we don't care too much for how it looks. Like the resolution on it isn't the best, or at least not what it claimed it was. But it needed constant 12-volt power. And so what I ended up doing was getting a man, now the name's escaping me. It's like a little T, and so you can add it. But I tied in to the 12-volt plug right here, and so if the car's on, that's always on. Now I don't know if I recommend that, because I know some cars, some Jeeps, I think older models, that never turns off. This one, luckily, it turns off with the car, so whenever the car turns off, that's not getting power anymore. If it was getting power, the backup camera would end up draining the battery, and that'd be annoying. But we ended up getting into some vinyl, so we put vinyl stickers all over the place. What is it? Watch it get a copyright strike or something. We end up getting all these big companies. We get like less than 200 views, but then all these big companies start trying to sue us. We get a letter in the mail. Oh, a big issue that we had the one time was we had to check engine light, and we called up. So I have a mechanic. Family friend and whatnot. I know a guy. That helps me out with cars, but just out of curiosity, sometimes I'll call Jeep, or like with my Mercedes, I'll call Mercedes and I'll ask them how much it would cost for them to diagnose an issue, or after he's already figured out the issue, I'll call him, and after he tells me what the issue is, I'll call, either Mercedes or Jeep and tell them how much would it cost for me to change this. And these guys said it was going to cost like upwards of like $300 just for them to look at the issue, and this was the issue. It was just a gas cap that was loose. Check engine light came on, and so we ended up spending $10 on this, put this in, check engine light is gone. And so, but they wanted to charge me $300. Similar with the oil filter housing. We ended up changing the oil filter housing and to an aluminum one, and so my buddy recommended an aluminum oil filter housing, which I also recommend, because since then no issues. But after I changed the oil filter housing, there's no leak or anything of that nature. I ended up calling Jeep and asked them how much it would cost for them to fix it. They said right out the gate, without the part included, it would cost $600 for them to repair the oil filter housing, and they would have to keep the car for the better part of a day, or at least I would have to end up calling off of work, and then I have to pay $600. Everything's been phenomenal, and I can tell you it did not cost $600. So if you do have a heavy interest in this, I would definitely recommend befriending a mechanic of some form. Let's get to the lights. We ended up changing out the rear lights. The only thing that was annoying is if you end up buying backup lights, take into account not all of them come with a third one. So these ones didn't come with a third set. So we had to buy that one separately, which isn't a big deal, maybe $40-50 altogether. But at first we didn't like that they were smoked, but they don't look too bad. And I mean, they're bright, so even though they're smoked, they're still doing their job. We're not those people that have black rear lights and you can't tell when they're hitting the brakes or nothing. But for the most part, everything's solid with these, but these end up looking nice. That ends up looking nice, especially at night. This thing's pristine, and the other ones are pretty well worn, or at least worn awkwardly. These rough country steps are awesome, and I mean, they are in there snug. If you get them though, keep into account that there's a gap in here, and so salt and whatnot gets inside of there, and so if you're not paying attention, it ends up causing issues like that, which isn't a big deal, you know, and they're good. And these wild boar handles are a godsend, and they are in there. I mean, I can shake the whole vehicle with this thing, and it's not going anywhere. For the most part, space in this is pretty nice. I will say you have to sit a little bit more upright, and I like to do that gangster lean. I don't know why. I'm into guns, now you know that. Too terrible. I mean, I'm 6 foot, and like I said, I'm sitting more upright, but like my legs are comfortable. I'm not, you know, I'm not squished, although it might look like I'm squished, but I'm not. I'm realizing I've never sat back here. These windows, I didn't know the window switches were back here like that. For some reason I was expecting them to be just like the front part back here isn't too terrible. I want to get a sound system. Maybe I'll do a video on that. It's a bit expensive, but I want to do a sound system where you get this whole centerpiece you remove it. I haven't looked into how to do it, but you remove the whole centerpiece, and then you can make it so it has better speaker. But it's just a you know, Jeep Wrangler. It's not a Rubicon, but I mean, it's got a bigger screen. I think a bigger screen than Rubicons today. And change out the suspension. By the end of the day, it's going to end up being better than a Rubicon. At least in my eyes, it will be. And that's, you know, all that's important. Trunk is hefty, because that door, you know, having that big Jeep wheel on it is crazy. The space in the back of these Jeeps is pretty nice. What is it? What is under here? First aid kit. Oh, I put from my very first Mercedes, I kept the first aid kit. The cool thing about here is the nuts and bolts required to take your doors and everything off. You can put right inside of here so you don't lose them. So you take off so like this one's, labeled door hinges. I don't know if you can see that, but it's embroidered in there. That's labeled roof. But you can slap them inside of there, maybe put the extra pieces and whatnot inside of there. You can drop this down, lock it up, and even if you take the trunk off, or if you take the roof and doors and everything off, you're solid. And your biggest concern is about taking all that off is just disconnecting these. And so this is what I mean by plug and play. You know, I took that off just with my hand. I struggled a little bit, but I took it off just with my hand, and that's most of the inside of the car. Everything that you have has these little tabs on it that lock into place and whatnot. Whenever you get a new piece, you just plug the new one in, lock it up, and then it's, for the most part, installed. There's a bee in there now. Get out of there. You're allergic to bees. Oh, there it goes. Oh, this is not a cool thing. This little like brush guard. I know it's meant to keep the paint and everything nice, and like it's got an actual function, but I think it just looks cool. I like it. I want to get a little protector for up here. If you see Jeeps and you see how they have this little section right here, that's actually so you can replace that with something stronger. If it ends up opening all the way or things of that nature, the mirror and whatnot doesn't smack into that. Actually, I can't remember if it's a door. There's something where, I'm pretty sure it's something to do with the door. If you open the door, it tends to hit that, and you don't want to dent that up. And so they made it so even that is easy to replace. We want to try to get a metal grill at some point. For the most part, tell me what you think about our Jeep. If there's something you want me to touch base on a little bit more, let me know down in the comments. If you have any ideas about something that you want me to end up trying out, like maybe a new hood or some other big fix, or maybe whenever I change out the calipers, if you want to see me do that, yeah, just let me know, and let me know what you guys want to see. Till next time.